Princess Corellia wasn't meant for grand halls and shimmering tiaras, not anymore. Her planet, Aquamarine, glittered like a jewel from afar, but up close it was a cage made of swirling turquoise oceans and cities of bioluminescent coral. She longed for the silence of open space, the darkness where she could breathe. But as the king's only heir, she was constantly watched, her every move scrutinized. Her rebellious heart ached for freedom. The arranged marriage was the final straw, a political alliance, they called it. To Corellia it felt like selling her soul to the highest bidder, a slimy, tentacled creature from the Zargon quadrant. She wouldn't do it, she wouldn't be a pawn in their galactic games. Her escape had to be swift, decisive, and shrouded in absolute secrecy. One mistake, and her life as she knew it was over. Under the cover of a moonless night, Corellia stole onto a royal transport ship. Her scales shimmered with a nervous energy as she bypassed the security protocols, her knowledge of the palace systems now her lifeline. The engines hummed to life, a low vibration that resonated through her bones. Leaving Aquamarine was like prying open a clamshell, each movement met with resistance. But she was determined. She had to be free. The crash was unavoidable. The Earth's atmosphere, so different from Aquamarine's, ripped at her ship's hull. She braced herself as the vessel screamed through the sky, a falling star destined for a small fishing village in Cornwall. Salt water, cold and harsh, filled her lungs as she fought her way out of the sinking wreckage. She had never been this far from home, never felt so utterly alone. And yet there was a strange sense of exhilaration. She was free. Section 5. A fisherman's net catches more than fish. Tom was used to the sea's surprises. The ocean was a vast, unpredictable entity, and every day brought something new. He had seen it all, or so he thought. From the smallest, most delicate sea creatures to the largest, most formidable fish, Tom had encountered a myriad of marine life. Each catch was a story, a testament to the mysteries of the deep. He'd hauled in his fair share of oddities in his years on the Cornish coast. There were days when his nets would be filled with nothing but seaweed and debris, and other days when he would find treasures from sunken ships. The sea was a giver and a taker, a provider and a thief, but nothing could have prepared him for what he found that fateful morning. As he pulled up his net, he noticed something unusual. Among the usual catch of fish and seaweed, there was a figure. At first he thought it was a large fish, or perhaps a seal. But as he drew closer, he realized it was a woman, tangled in his nets, with skin the colour of moonlight and eyes like deep, fathomless pools. Her hair flowed like seaweed, and her presence was otherworldly. She was unconscious, her breathing shallow. Instinct took over. Tom's heart raced as he carefully untangled her from the net. He had never seen anything like this before. Who was she? Where did she come from? His mind was flooded with questions, but there was no time to ponder. He needed to act quickly. He pulled her aboard his trawler, his calloused hands surprisingly gentle as he laid her on the deck. He checked her pulse, relieved to find it faint but steady. He wrapped her in a blanket, trying to keep her warm. The sea breeze was cold, and he knew she needed warmth to recover. He didn't know what she was, where she came from, but he knew he had to help her. As he looked out at the vast expanse of the ocean, he felt a sense of responsibility. The sea had brought her to him, and now it was up to him to ensure her safety. He vowed to uncover the mystery of the woman from the sea, no matter what it took. Section 6. Whispers of the Sea and Stars. When Corellia opened her eyes, the first thing she saw was him. His face, weathered by the sun and sea, was etched with concern. She remembered the crash, the feeling of drowning, and his hands pulling her from the depths. She was still weak, her voice a mere whisper. How could she explain who she was, what she had done? Her secret felt heavy, a weight on her chest, but for the first time in her life she felt safe. Section 7. The Hunt Across Galaxies. News of a crashed spaceship travelled faster than a meteor shower. The entire galaxy seemed to buzz with the information, as if the stars themselves whispered the tale. It was a story that spanned light years, reaching the ears of those who would act upon it with urgency and determination. It wasn't long before Aquamarine's Royal Guard arrived on Earth, their sleek ships casting ominous shadows across the Cornish coastline. The sight was both awe-inspiring and terrifying, a testament to the advanced technology and the serious intent of those who piloted them. The people of Cornwall could only watch in stunned silence as the ships descended. They came for their princess, their questions laced with thinly veiled threats. The guards, clad in their shimmering armour, moved with a purpose that brooked no argument. Their presence was a stark reminder of the power and reach of Aquamarine's monarchy. The locals, bewildered and frightened, could offer little help. Tom, initially disbelieving of her story, now stood protectively by her side. He had been sceptical at first, dismissing her tales as mere fantasy, but the arrival of the Royal Guard had shattered his doubts. Now he was her steadfast protector, ready to face whatever dangers lay ahead. He had seen the fear in her eyes, felt the tremor in her hand when the guards had spoken. Her fear was palpable, a living thing that clung to her like a shadow. It was this fear that had convinced him of the truth of her words, and it was this fear that now fueled his resolve to protect her. He wouldn't let them take her, not without a fight. His determination was a beacon of hope in the gathering darkness. He knew the odds were against them, but he also knew that he couldn't abandon her. Together they would face whatever came their way, united in their struggle against the forces that sought to tear them apart. Section 8. A choice to make. Coralia knew her escape had consequences. She hadn't considered the danger she was putting Tom and his village in. She was torn between her love for him, the calmness she found in his presence, and her duty to her people. She could go back to Aquamarine, face the arranged marriage, and ensure her people's safety. Or she could stay, fight for her freedom and a love that felt more real than any star in the sky, but risk everything she knew. Section 9. Love written in the stars. The choice, in the end, was simple. It wasn't just about love. It was about freedom, identity, and the right to choose one's own destiny. Tom and Coralia knew that their love was more than just a fleeting emotion. It was a force that could change their worlds. Love, real and fierce, doesn't cower in the face of galactic threats. It fights back. And so they did. They stood together, their hearts beating as one, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Their bond was unbreakable, forged in the fires of adversity and strengthened by their unwavering commitment to each other. With a combination of Tom's earthbound ingenuity and Coralia's advanced technology, they repelled the guards, sending them back to Aquamarine with a message. Their princess was no longer theirs to control. Tom's quick thinking and resourcefulness, combined with Coralia's knowledge of advanced alien technology, created a formidable defense. They worked seamlessly together, their movements synchronized, their minds in perfect harmony. As the sun rose, painting the Cornish sky with hues of pink and orange, Coralia and Tom stood hand in hand on the deck of his trawler. She was home. The gentle rocking of the boat, the salty breeze, and the sound of the waves crashing against the hull created a serene backdrop for their newfound freedom. They had fought hard for this moment, and now they could finally breathe easy, knowing that they were safe and together. Not in the grand halls of Aquamarine, but in the warmth of his gaze, in the gentle sway of the sea, and in the knowledge that sometimes the greatest love stories are written in the stars. They knew that their journey was far from over, but they were ready to face whatever came next, as long as they were together. Their love was a beacon, guiding them through the darkest nights and the stormiest seas. And as they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, they knew that their love story was just beginning.